So here we are, flying into the sunset of mass consumerism, over half a century on, with economies that have come to expect, demand, and depend upon unending growth, because we're financially, politically, and socially addicted to it. We're financially addicted to growth because today's financial system is designed to pursue the highest rate of monetary return, putting publicly traded companies under constant pressure to deliver growing sales, growing market share, and growing profits. And because banks create money as debt bearing interest, which must be repaid with more. We're politically addicted to growth because politicians want to raise tax revenue without raising taxes, and a growing GDP seems a sure way to do that. And no politician wants to lose their place in the G20 family photo. But if their economy stops growing while the rest keep going, well, they'll be booted out by the next emerging powerhouse. And we are socially addicted to growth because, thanks to a century of consumer propaganda, which fascinatingly was created by Edward Bernays, the nephew of Sigmund Freud, who realized that his uncle's psychotherapy could be turned into very lucrative retail therapy if we could be convinced to believe that we transform ourselves every time we buy something more. None of these addictions are insurmountable, but they all deserve far more attention than they currently get. We need economies that are regenerative and distributive by design. You see, we've inherited degenerative industries. We take Earth's materials, make them into stuff we want, use it for a while, often only once, and then throw it away. And that is pushing us over planetary boundaries. So we need to bend those arrows around, create economies that work with and within the cycles of the living world, so that resources are never used up, but are used again and again. Economies that run on sunlight, where waste from one process is food for the next. And this kind of regenerative design is popping up everywhere. Over 100 cities worldwide, from Quito to Oslo, from Harare to Hobart, already generate more than 70% of their electricity from sun, wind, and waves. Cities like London, Glasgow, Amsterdam are pioneering circular city design, finding ways to turn the waste from one urban process into food for the next. And from Tigray, Ethiopia, to Queensland, Australia, farmers and foresters are regenerating once barren landscapes so that it teems with life again. But as well as being regenerative by design, our economies must be distributive by design. And we've got unprecedented opportunities for making that happen. Because 20th century centralized technologies, institutions, concentrated wealth, knowledge, and power in few hands. This century, we can design our technologies and institutions to distribute wealth, knowledge, and empowerment to many. Instead of fossil fuel energy and large-scale manufacturing, we've got renewable energy networks, digital platforms, and 3D printing. 200 years of corporate control over intellectual property is being upended by the bottom-up, open-source, peer-to-peer knowledge commons. And corporations that still pursue maximum rate of return for their shareholders, well, they suddenly look rather out of date next to social enterprises that are designed to generate multiple forms of value and share it with those throughout their networks. If we can harness today's technologies, from AI to blockchain to the Internet of Things to material science, if we can harness these in service of distributive design, we can ensure that healthcare, education, finance, energy, political voice reaches and empowers those people who need it most. You see, regenerative and distributive design create extraordinary opportunities for the 21st century economy. But look again to nature, because from your children's feet to the Amazon forest, nothing in nature grows forever. Things grow, and they grow up, and they mature, and it's only by doing so that they can thrive for a very long time. We already know this. If I told you my friend went to the doctor who told her she had a growth, well, that feels very different, because we intuitively understand that when something tries to grow forever within a healthy, living, thriving system, it's a threat to the health of the whole. So why would we imagine that our economies would be the one system that could buck this trend and succeed by growing forever? We urgently need financial, political, and social innovations that enable us to overcome this structural dependency on growth so that we can instead focus on thriving in balance within the social and the ecological boundaries of the doughnut. And if the mere idea of boundaries makes you feel, well, bounded, think again. Because the world's most ingenious people turn boundaries into the source of their creativity. From Mozart on his 5-octave piano, Jimi Hendrix on his 6-string guitar, Serena Williams on a tennis court. It's boundaries that unleash our potential. And the doughnut's boundaries unleash the potential for humanity to thrive with boundless creativity, participation, belonging, and meaning. It's going to take all the ingenuity that we have got to get there. So bring it on. Thank you.